Hello and good morning. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an outstanding Xbox-centric show for you today. We have a lot to get into. Obviously, tip of the spear for today's conversation is going to be that Sarah Bond interview with Donna. I believe it's Dinah Bass. I believe that's who. She's from Bloomberg. The interview with Sarah was about 17 minutes and a few seconds. Lots of big information that came out of there. I'll be honest with you, looking at Sarah as a whole, she seemed very uncomfortable, which was not her style. She's usually very confident. She's very sharp and very, collected on how she answers things. I'll give you my opinion on why I think that was. I think this was a hard week. For everyone, the fans, for the studios, for the executives like Sarah, who wear her heart on her sleeve. That's what she does. And you can tell that she was drained. She was emotionally drained, potentially even physically drained over how difficult a week this was. We're going to get into some Hellblade, folks. Hellblade, 11 days away. Holy shit, that game is coming out, and it's going to be amazing. A lot of questions in the community to where and when the marketing is and when it will start. We have a quote from Aaron Greenberg, who of course is the head of marketing. We'll get his what he had to say. But one thing that I'm very excited about specifically for today's show is that we are introducing some new voices to the community. Now, somebody that hasn't been here in a long while in Logan Meyer, but we also have Kevin Sanchez joining us, and obviously Kevin's going to give us a breakdown of where you can find him at the end. But Kevin, good morning, kind sir. Welcome to the program. It's great to have you on Breakfast with Boom. Why don't you give not only introduce yourself, but tell everyone what you have an Xbox podcast of your own.
Yeah, my name's Kevin or Corkenstein. I've had both. Fuzzy, Logan. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Yeah, I do. So I have two. One's on hiatus right now. For those that don't know, I mod the Xbox Series X subreddit and the Xbox One subreddit as well. We've had some stuff going on behind the scenes with that on moving forward with some of the subs. We got some really cool things coming up. But with that came Xbox Talks, and that's one of the podcasts I'm on that is on a quick hiatus. We are bringing it back hopefully this week or next. But recently I did start a new one with some good buddies of mine called Game Pass Gumbo. And we just talk about games and then we correlate that with food. So our first episode was Blizzard, and of course Blizzard Entertainment, where they're at going with Microsoft, and we paired it up with ice cream, what our favorite ice cream is, things like that, what we'd like to see in ice cream, just kind of fun, all around general talking. I think this one will have Hellblade coming up either tomorrow or Sunday, and we'll be talking about Celtic food.
Nice. And well, that's very interesting stuff there, brother. And again, why I like it is because, well, there are no podcasts quite like that. And that's the whole point, standing out in the crowd, doing something that's a little bit different. Glad to have you here, brother. We're going to get your hot take. We were talking in the green room. He had some pretty brilliant thoughts and theories that I cannot wait to get into. But Logan Meyer. Now, Logan, you've been on the show before, but it has been a long while now. If you don't know who Logan Meyer is and who he works with regularly, he has teamed up with Jamie Moran, and they do a weekly podcast that is, of course, dedicated to Xbox. Logan, how you feeling, brother? Welcome.
I'm doing good. Glad to be back. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we Jamie and I do a every Tuesday do the All Things Xbox podcast, and we kind of like to just keep it as almost like a casual fireside chat with a couple of friends. Like we mostly keep it pretty upbeat and positive, but occasionally we'll go off when necessary about, tomfoolery going on in the Xbox world. But overall, it's just good vibes, and I'm happy to be here, man.
Well, we're happy to have you, brother. So thank you so much for joining us. Folks, if you didn't know, this is the new Contra DLC for one of my favorite games of the generation. Without a doubt, Vampire Survivors. It is $2.74 for the DLC. It is freaking phenomenal. Like, it is some of the best Vampire Survivors, because they go like super deep into the Contra lore. All the guns are represented, as well as, of course, all the weapons that you know and love, like garlic and the cross, and you can mix and match everything. You'll see for the next hour and 45 minutes, give or take. You'll get to see the footage. It's really good. Like, if you are a Contra fan, and if you're a fan of the game, you got to buy this DLC. It's just great. Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, sir. The Sarah Bond interview is going to be the highlight of the conversation. Again, she had a lot of stuff to say. We'll get into what I think that she has confirmed for everyone without actually saying it. But good morning. How you feeling?
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, it's been a week. But like you said, 11 days from now, we got Hellblade 2, and then the June showcase not too far around the corner. So
after that, brother, yeah.
But we're going to get into some conversations on stuff. But like I said in the green room, my theme is be careful what you ask for. And I'll have to confess some of my maybe misjudgments or quick to judgments, but we'll get into it.
No, I think where you're going with that, and I talked about it already, and I'll take all the virtual tomatoes. I was a very open and vocal proponent for ABK. I thought it was going to bring in an opportunity for smaller studios that have been stuck in the salt mines of Call of Duty for years to spread their wings and go back to making games like Prototype and things of that nature. Like we were saying in the green room, the problem here with what we're seeing is ultimately when you go and you ask Papa for $70 billion and he gives you that money, Papa has to answer to people that could send him to Hades, and that is the board. And the return on investment on $70 billion, I don't know if they're okay with a slow burn. I think they want to see immediate reaction and return. And I think what you're seeing is that now that the money people are in the building, they're looking through the books. You got to remember, folks, Xbox for a very long time was looked at like when in the lunchroom, like you go down to lunch and like, there's Papa's favorite. He don't do shit, but there he is, And when you close ABK, you close Bethesda. Well, now the kid that no one really paid attention to. Well, now you got to pay attention to him because Xbox is making more money than Windows, and when that happens, this is what happens. You get bad weeks like this where they close 4 studios. It's disheartening. Honestly, it's disheartening. So again, I'll stand in front of the class, folks. I think I was ultimately galvanized by the size of the deal and what would entail joining Xbox, not realizing that once that happened, the money people, once they're in, that's it. So when you're making more money than Windows, which is what which is what Microsoft is, it's that Pandora's box. It's open. It's like, well, we can't close it now, so we just have to work with what we got. And a lot of us aren't happy with it. But the one thing I will say that will not go away, thanks to what Sarah Bond had to say, was Game Pass. Game Pass is going to be there. Consoles are going to be there. Let's open up with that, as a matter of fact. So, I mean, again, this is one of those multi-tiered conversations, ladies and gentlemen. There was an interview yesterday with Sarah Bond and Bloomberg. Now, again, I know a lot of people are like, hey, maybe she should have canceled, or why did she do the interview? Did they request it? No, actually, for clearance here, to make everything clear, everyone, so you understand. Sarah Bond didn't request this interview. This is something that Bloomberg does with all of the Fortune 500 companies once a year, and this was already pre-planned. Obviously, it was pre-planned so far in advance that I don't think anyone knew that they were going to close the 4 studios. It just happened to fall on that kind of a week, and Well, such is life. So I'll go first, Fuzzy. The one of the things that I want to say for me, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, I am a retired New York City police officer. I did it for 21 years. And one of the things that you get to learn by just going out and talking with the people and doing the job is you get to learn body language. It's not something that can be taught to you. You have to experience meeting and talking with the people, and you get to see things. And there are certain ticks that in a situation, because you were there or if you've seen it before, it clicks with you. Now, most of the time, that's going to probably save your life because, well, you know, being a cop isn't easy. But something like watching the Sarah Bond interview with Donna Bass, I watched it 3 times. And a couple of takeaways for me, and this is right out of the gates. Sarah Bond seemed incredibly uncomfortable. If you've ever seen her in an interview, and I've watched dozens of Sarah Bond interviews over the years, she is charismatic. She is confident. She is a force to be reckoned with. She's always very pointed and very. There's always that smile that she has on the side that you know she's excited to be there. That was all absent from this. Personally, I felt like she was a bit lethargic. Some people talking, in the green room said that she seemed tired. And I believe that is the case. You know, obviously, when you close 4 studios and you have this turmoil in your company, it's exhausting. She's a human being. She has a family, right? She has a job. She's the president of Xbox. She knew that the arrows or the virtual tomatoes were going to come, right? That's just part of the job. She seemed a bit dejected from, not that she didn't want to be there, but she knew she had to because obviously this is something that they've already pre-planned, and it's a tough seat to be in after what happened on Tuesday and continues. Wednesday the second story came out where more layoffs or more cuts are coming. So she's the head of Xbox. She's the president of Xbox. So that that's just some of the stuff that I walked away with. She gave good answers, but they weren't energized answers as she's known for, if you follow her like I do. But I want to give credit to Game Pass Tracker, because one of the biggest conversations that came out of all of this really bad news that we heard from specifically Tom Warren of The Verge, where there was internal talks about Call of Duty not going into Xbox Game Pass because of the potential loss of sales, which we talked about on Primetime Gaming. There was a bit of a split on the panel. Some people like myself think that it would be a disastrous not to put it in there, because at that point now you've lied. You said every first-party game goes into Game Pass day and date, which is why I subscribe. If you change it for this game, are you going to change it for Fable? Are you going to change it for Perfect Dark? That's a incredibly slippery slope. But I think Game Pass Tracker knocks it out of the park, because I used their tweet and they have it literally verbatim of what she said regarding Activision content. This is one of the highlights for me. Obviously, there's some lowlights which I've already discussed. But this is what again, shout out to Game Pass Tracker. They say this: according to Sarah Bond in an interview with Dinah Bass with Bloomberg, all first-party games are coming to Game Pass. #day one, including Call of Duty, which falls under across the whole slate. Now, what they are talking about is Sarah answers the question, or is asked a question, and Sarah says this. And the last piece about Game Pass: we know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription. You get a whole portfolio of games, but importantly, you get every single one of the games we build day one in Game Pass. and the quality and the breadth of those games has also been going up over time. And you're going to see some more really big games going into Game Pass later this year. So Dinah asks, from Activision portfolio, or Sarah answers immediately, across the whole slate. Across the whole slate. She said it twice. You're going to see some really amazing things, and keeping that as something that is really special for Xbox players is central to us. Obviously, she's answering this question with some of the criticism that came out of the way of what most of the gaming media was putting out there. Again, the story of them potentially not putting it in there, having internal talks, came the way of Tom Warren of The Verge. Now, I think Tom's quite a fine journalist, and I do like his work. Where he gets his information, it doesn't matter. The information is out there. I like the way she handled this. Let's talk about it. Again, there's no specific direction. I just want to hear what your thoughts on this interview for Sarah Bond, Fuzzy.
It part of it was a tough to watch because you could tell, like you said, some of the body language. There seemed to be some uncomfortableness to it, but we've seen Phil in that same spot type of thing. But overall, the I wouldn't say the doubling down, but like the reassurance as far as Game Pass was a breath of fresh air, considering the rumors that were going around, like you said. And we know rumors are rumors for a reason. They're just rumors until something's officially announced. But we've kind of seen where that's led in the past, where sometimes some of the rumors there's a little bit of smoke or a little bit of fire behind it that causes that to come out. But the thing as far as Game Pass was a breath of fresh air. The answering or the response she gave with Tango was a little less reassuring. But
yes,
I think the big thing is you could, and I don't want to make excuses for anyone. And okay. So first of all, I feel strange, or it feels strange having her talk about that right now, but she can't say, well, go ask Phil that. But it almost feels like she doesn't have the final say of closing the studio. She's in charge of Xbox, which is mainly the hardware and the ecosystem part of it. The studio stuff falls on Matt Booty, so his butt needs to be grilled on that. And then ultimately, their overall boss is Phil, so he also needs to be questioned about that. But we've seen he's radio silent right now, and I kind of get the feeling that the reason why they're all radio silent is. And I don't want to give them the leeway of saying, okay, the Money Men or Satya and Amy Hood and all of them are kind of like tied their hands. Like, okay, we spent the money, show us our return kind of thing. And it almost feels like that to some extent, because the 4 games thing, if we look back at that just real quick, one of the games that was put on that test, because they said it was a test, that studio is now closed.
Indeed.
The other studios in that test also on that brink kind of thing. And that's part of what I'm worried about with them asking her about Tango and then not having an answer. I mean, yes, we know they didn't meet whatever possible metric as far as numbers for sales. They met player numbers, which that was what was stated. How true, we won't know, because Grubb, we probably all gave him smoke for saying what he said, and kind of turns out, like, I guess with him getting the info from Microsoft and not Xbox, and Xbox saying one thing, somebody at Microsoft was probably right. And that's why Tango's no longer a thing. And yes, you can look back at, okay, the other IPs that they've done haven't performed as well. But if that's going to be the metric with Game Pass as a thing, which that was supposed to be kind of a shield per se. You have your AAA bangers like your Starfields, your Halos, your Forza Horizons even, and it would kind of shield the rest. If that's not the case, then me as the racing fan starts to look at, when do we get that sad news on turn 10? Now let's be clear. Yes, Forza is a pillar, but Forza Motorsport didn't come out in the best of fashion. Yeah. I wouldn't say it was as bad in the public's eye as let's say Redfall, but it was bad. The performance and the handling of the car, they knocked that out of the park. A lot of the other stuff was way behind what they expected to deliver, and without exposing, behind the scenes info, a lot of that stuff was kind of forced out the door against the better wishes of what they knew was ready and not ready. Mm-hmm. So there were some compromises made, and that's not the big Forza title in Xbox, hierarchy. Like Horizon is now the king as far as Forza is concerned, because that brings in the players and it brings in the money. Motorsport was never really that. It's always been the niche where you might get a couple million players. Well, if Hi-Fi Rush had 4 million players, and I can almost guarantee you we're barely at 2 million players on Motorsport, what does that say about Turn 10? Are they next when yes, they have this ongoing game with Motorsport, but does that mean at some point when they need to worry about a Motorsport 2, or they want to do an overhaul and add more features, because of that cost, is that going to now be on, some sort of, scrutiny and chopping block? Like part of the stuff that came out was that the reason why they were closed is because they've already wrapped up their stuff, other than yes, they had some other projects they were working on, like with Arcane Austin. They were working on stuff for Redfall, which would have probably gotten it in a better state. Maybe not to the point where it'd be like Fallout 76 kind of thing, but they've already improved a good bit from its original launch, and they had some more things that would probably give it a long-term better, standing within the Game Pass, family kind of thing. And now they need to worry about, their next project, and the same thing with Tango. And keep in mind, we're talking about next gen possibly coming in 2026. So when you start having the studios look at this at like, oh, we have to pitch for the next title. Okay, well, before we weren't told that sales was the thing. It was the player engagement or player count or something like that. And now it's like, oh yeah, no, we need to do the sales on top of that. That's like added pressure for all these new pitches that are going to be like your year 2, your year 3, and year 4 for your next gen. Like we can kind of understand that some of these titles that we've kind of known about that haven't released yet are going to probably be, some of the launch titles for next gen, and maybe even cross gen for like the series console. But after that, it almost feels like Microsoft, not the heads at Xbox themselves, but Microsoft is kind of cutting back or scaling back, almost like the way they did at the beginning of Xbox One, where it's like, okay, well, you got your launch lineup set, but we're going to close this studio, we're going to close that studio because you don't need them. Oh, and you only have this kind of budget to work with, and that's my fear. But all of this is speculation. Like, the only thing that we know at this point in time is that Hellblade comes out in 11 days, showcase in June, and this is a bitter pill to swallow in the meantime. Heart goes out to those at Tango. I know there were rumors as far as like Shinji Mikami taking players or key personnel. Stop that.
Yeah, that's actually been debunked. I saw a lot of people running with it. As a matter of fact, let me just give let's see. You Man in the chat says one person leaving the studio. He was referring basically to that. And what Fuzzy's talking about and who debunked it is why you should listen to it. Now, there was a rumor that when Shinji, who was obviously the studio head of Tango, left, he's with one of the original creators of Resident Evil. He spearheaded, obviously, Evil Within 1 and 2. He did not want to make Evil Within 3. He wanted to make smaller games. So he left the studio. The rumor that Fuzzy's referring to is that he took his staff with him and left them with a skeleton crew. That is not in fact true at all. And you know who confirmed that? Jez Corden confirmed that did not happen. People stayed with the thought that they were going to make Evil Within 3, and they were already pitching a Hi-Fi Rush 2. They were also in development of a JRPG that was early in development as well. So they didn't leave. So please continue.
Yeah, they didn't lose all their talent when Shinji Mikami left. And they didn't lose all their talent when, I hope I don't butcher her name, Ikamuri Nakamura. If you've ever seen like during the Summer Games Fest, I think it was like the Studio Unseen, where it had like a a very colorful, like animated game where, I guess at like if your vision that you normally see, there's no monsters, but you put like special glasses on and you shine a certain light, you can see the monsters that are kind of like hiding in broad, light, daylight kind of thing.
Is that when you took photos with? Like you took like yes, okay.
Not many of the people left, but keep in mind, head talent leaves studios all the time. And I know people try to start FUD with the whole, Ninja Theory when that guy left. That was like the founder. He makes the decisions, but he's not necessarily the key talent. The key talent's still there
2 years ago, which is so.
But like we have to stop finding excuses of why they closed them and just know that they closed them, and whatever precedent is set based on that could eventually affect the studio that you hold more dear. Like for me, turn 10 because of whatever metrics, because from a sales standpoint versus a non-sales standpoint or player engagement, if one is more important now than it was based on Phil's original vision, then what are we doing at this point? But I don't want to make it all about doom and gloom. Just be careful. My key thing: be careful what you ask for, because I know some people are calling for Phil's head. If Phil, being the gamer, can ever navigate through the suits above him, making certain calls like, well, you have 7% that you have to cut, and then he has to kind of make that decision based on his understanding of the market. He could probably navigate a little bit better than just them putting another suit in that spot. And I know we all see Matt Booty as this shark behind the scenes with the email about spending Sony out of business, but under his watch, his teams are not delivering. And that's whether that's his fault or the team's fault or management underneath him. He needs some more scrutiny. And I know there's quite a few people actually calling for his head, but that, once again, if you put somebody else in place, they might be along the same lines of a suit of where they just say, oh, well, you're pitching a new idea. You're off the list now. And we have to be careful what we ask for. So I'm not calling for any of the Microsoft heads. I'm not calling for any of the Xbox heads. I just want us to look at this and know that, well, at least some stuff now has been confirmed as far as the Call of Duty stuff. So that's great. But as far as the rumor or the murmurs of, more possible cuts coming, we kind of got to get prepared for it and look at the bigger picture of where the direction seems to be changing more so towards a company that wants, bigger results or bigger AAAs that they can, get more customers into, that are black hole games, which was kind of the opposite of what Game Pass was. It was supposed to be about the variety. But if we're going to just have a bunch of gas games like Call of Duty, like, Fallout 76, like not that there's a problem with any of those, but if we don't have the Hi-Fi Rushes or the Pentiments or, other smaller projects like that moving forward, then that means they're going to have to rely on indies, which at that point are indies going to be willing to take that bag, as opposed to just doing like what Microsoft is doing and just say, well, we'll just focus on the selling of the games on Steam and everywhere else, as opposed to taking that bag, unless it's a heftier bag, which it seems like some of the willingness to spend as much might be reduced a bit, or it's just that they're more precise in the projects that they let into Game Pass now. But yeah, good interview. I really would like to, and I said this on social media, I'm more interested in Phil's interview with Ryan McCafferty at this point. Like originally when they were talking about that after the June showcase, I was like, whatever, because I'm not really an IGN fan. But now after these events, it's like I kind of want to see, and I hope he's still with the company up to that point, because I kind of feel like this silence, is he writing his resignation letter during this moment of silence kind of thing? Or is it just that he knows, this is a decision that was not easy at all, and he wouldn't have probably made it had it not been for, the extra scrutiny that ABK brought. I honestly believe this is I wouldn't say it's at the end of anything. I just believe that this is a pivoting point where we will see more focus on Call of Duty. So essentially, Xbox bought or Microsoft bought ABK to become ABK of gaming, basically. And it seems like we might have the same problem that ABK had with having all your studios working on Call of Duty. Well, we're not there yet, but I'm hoping that's not the direction they're headed, because cutting something like Tango just feels like that right now.
I mean, it's again, phenomenal points. Again, if you stop and you just look at the playing field, and I want to bring Kevin. Well, I'm called by Kevin. Kevin, I want to bring you in on the conversation because, if you stop for a second and you look, I don't think that you're going to see Ninja Theory helping out in the next Call of Duty. I don't think you're going to see the Coalition helping out on the next Call of Duty. What I think I see, and again, I'd love to be proven wrong, that the studios that made some very incredible experiences for Activision before Call of Duty became this behemoth where they were putting out 3 different major studios. They had 3 years of dev time, and it was rush, get this Call of Duty out, makes a lot of money, right? All of those studios seemed to be positioning or be positioned to go back to making games, exciting games. Singularity 2, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Is another prototype, which would be an amazing, IP rebirth. Hell, I would say at this point, I'd just take a freaking remake from the ground up. Give me prototype 1, and we're golden. I don't know if we're going to get that. Toys for Bob is out. They left. Did they see the writing on the wall? Were they going to remain the Toys for Bob that brought us the revival of Crash and Spyro? Were they going to get back to that? I don't know, but they're no longer. I mean, they've signed a deal with Microsoft and they're working on a specific exclusive, which of course I am praying to the gaming gods that it is Banjo-Kazooie, because I'm never going to stop asking until they deliver. But they left. Now we have 4 studios that closed. So I want to keep it on target. You had some really, pointed opinions about the Sarah Bond interview that we talked about in the green room. I really want you to get back and talk about that because they were really great points. Please, by all means, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so with the Sarah Bond interview, you could just, I was the one that said, I think she's tired. She's, when you're looking at this, Xbox has constantly been backpedaling on their back foot, defending narratives that are created and then Xbox is held to that they never created. And I think she's in the war room. She's probably been there since they announced these studio closures. She's probably just plain exhausted. And now an interview that was already planned, like you said, months ago, she's now having to explain something last minute that she has to be very careful how it's worded, because now you have people like Ash Parrish, who is saying, inputting context into something like that Matt Booty said about Hi-Fi Rush. He never specifically said Hi-Fi Rush, but now that's the narrative. Ryan McCaffrey, as of yesterday, it's now Microsoft Gaming. They've never said they're now being labeled as Microsoft Gaming, but hey, what's the narrative? It's very sad to see that happening, that narratives are being creative and Microsoft is constantly on the back foot having to defend these narratives. With the studio closures, it sucks. I get it. I'm going to take emotions out of this a little bit, and it may seem very harsh on some of the things I might say, but if you look at it from a business standpoint, Roadhouse, small studio, got absorbed, wasn't really doing much. Alpha Dog, I believe Alpha Dog, right? They're a mobile studio. Why do you need them when you have King? Arcane Austin, that was a team that was more demoralized, dejected. They had a rough launch. Redfall just never got off the ground. How do you rebuild a team like that is demoralized. You really can't. And what are you going to do? Are you just going to keep adding negativity? Not negativity. I don't want to say that because I don't know the full story, but what are you going to do? How do you incorporate a team that's demoralized back into the fold and have them create great games that they want to create?
Well, can I add some context to that, Kevin?
Sure.
How do you attract great great people that have talent? How do you attract talent to a studio that most people left? So that's the other thing. I'm not making excuses. I think Austin had an opportunity to make a comeback, but obviously they had to finish their promise to Redfall, which we know that they're not going to do. But how do you get people back after so many people left? Why did the people leave? They left because they weren't making a game that they were comfortable making. They were forced to make a gas game, which is not their forte. So people, like you were saying, were dejected, were demoralized, and were like, you know what? I'm out. And the studio, honestly, was a shell of its former self. But I blame the leaders at Bethesda for not taking a more hands-on approach. That falls on the leadership, and that's a failure on them. But please continue, sir.
Yeah. Well, I want to say I think it might have been a little bit of both, because I think Arcane Austin, everything was focused on Starfield. That's going to be the moneymaker. Everyone's looking at Starfield as the next Fallout, the next Skyrim, that kind of mentality. And I think you had Redfall that was just kind of pushed to the side. And they're like the redheaded stepchild, like, hey, I need help. Hey, I need help, guys. And then by then you're 2 weeks out from launch. You're announcing that this isn't going to be 60 FPS. You didn't raise the flags when you should have. And I think that falls on Harvey Smith and the team over at Arcane Austin. And that's another reason is, Redfall's now like leprosy. You're not going to have somebody wanting to join that team and get absorbed in that, because now you're going to get leprosy. So what do? There's no way to rebuild that, shut the studio down. With Tango, I'm with you. I think they should have waited, maybe held out just a little bit longer. But you have to think, and I'm not going to say that, Jez Corden's wrong in the sense. I think he's right. It wasn't a mass exodus. Was there talent drain? 100%. With somebody like Mikami, you get people that believe in visions. And I think that's what it was. And you may have had some talent drain, but it wasn't an exodus. No, I think there was enough that caused a little bit of strain on where they wanted to go, what projects they wanted to create. And when you start looking at that, games are taking now, even the smallest game is taking 4 years, 5 years to make. How can you justify that to Microsoft and Xbox? Hey, we did a game like Hi-Fi Rush, critically acclaimed. Yes. How did it do commercially, though? Where did it rank on, especially being incorporated into Game Pass? Where did that make on its commercial? Was it an internal success? 100%. Was it a commercial success, though? Debatable. And how can you now use that as like, let's make more of these games? We spent $100 million, we spent $100 million to make 10 million. It's hard to justify something, and especially if you don't have a plan going forward with that, and you're now asking, hey, I need millions more to spend another 5, 6, 7 years to start creating some more of these games, but you don't have somebody there like Mikami to vocalize that vision and push something out. You got to make some tough calls here. And just like you said, with Windows, they're on the level now. Everybody keeps saying Xbox dead, Xbox dead, Xbox dead. We talked about this in the Groom Room. How many times has Xbox been dead and they're still leading the curve? How many times has that been saying? People just don't like the change. The curve is coming. And this is where I think Fuzzy was talking about, do we have to worry about Forza? No. They're a live service game. There's a reason why everybody is going live service in the industry. It's because it makes money. And that's what you want. Single player titles. We learned everything from the Sony leak that for some unknown reason, nobody called out. High ballooned costs, low margins, single player titles that made Sony money, just not the return, the ROI that they needed or wanted.
Yep.
I guarantee you in the next year, we will see Helldivers 2 or a PlayStation title on Xbox. You're going to see PlayStation going day and date on PC. It's a change that's coming, but like always, Microsoft is the bad guy for leading that charge. Don Matrick with the Xbox One, he led the charge on more and more of a digital storefront. Look at where we are at now. They're just getting ahead of a curve nobody wants to accept. Eventually, they will. You're going to start seeing, maybe not Nintendo, they're a beast of their own. They keep their costs very low. But I think eventually, as the time goes forward, you got to remember, they had the Wii U launch and then the massive success of Switch. It's kind of hard to see where they're going to be going. With that, it just takes one bad console to put you back in like an Xbox One to put you back in that spot, or a Wii U to put you back in that spot. Now you got to revitalize, you got to rechange. So there's a lot here that we don't understand, and that's fine. We're consumers. We're not market analysts, despite however many people on Twitter want to believe they are. We aren't. Does Microsoft and Xbox owe us an explanation on why they closed Tango? No. Unless you buy stock, unless you're affected financially, they don't owe us that answer. So does Phil need to come out and say it? No, we are less than 1% of their consumer base. Why do they need to come tell us why they are closing studios that we're not even buying the games like Hi-Fi Rush to make? So why are they going to come back? I think one thing that Xbox needs to stop doing is going on the defensive. They're already against the ropes. They're bobbing and weaving, they're like Muhammad Ali, and they're getting stung though. Unlike Muhammad Ali, they're getting hit after hit after hit. They need to start coming forward. They have to stop entertaining people like, and I like Tim. I like Tim Dog. I like Peter. I like these guys. They're good people, but they need to stop entertaining these people, and they need to start going more as a business. And that's what they're doing right now. And people are not going to like that. And it's fine, but they don't owe us anything. We are consumers. Buy games, shut up, play them. Stop playing Twitter, start playing games. And that's what we have to start doing. So I think Microsoft is realizing that. Xbox is realizing that. And it's time for us to just play games and be happy with what we have. I get it. There's valid concern. There is valid concern about Hellblade. I'm a little concerned just because, where we'll see that's going. But there is valid concern there. What you even mentioned it. What is Ninja Theory going to do now? But I think they're going to take those teams with their great motion effects, their great motion capture, start incorporating into other games. Halo, start bringing those teams like they did with totally blanking now, total brain fart, with Gears.
You know about
Coalition.
Yes, the Coalition is actually specifically, that's a great point, because now the Coalition is hands-on with State of Decay 3. Like, that's a confirmed fact. They're working with them on that.
That's something that, has long been rumored, that they were going to teams and helping them invest in Unreal 5. And now they actually announced, hey, we have a team. That's what they're doing. They could do the same exact thing now with with Ninja Theory. Get their motion effects. They have some of the best in the industry right now. Hellblade, absolutely amazing. I know we're going to talk about that later, so I'll save some of that. But yeah, overall, let's stop the dooming. Let's stop Xbox dead. They're on par with Windows. The Windows has always been a staple of what Xbox has been for years now. They've been the foundation of Microsoft. Sorry, they've been the foundation of Microsoft for years. Now you have Xbox adding that second level. They're going to want a return on that. They're going to trim costs. They're going to make sure that it's a thing that they're making billions on keeps making them billions. It's capitalism. It sucks. There's no other way around it right now. Is this an Xbox problem? No, it's an industry problem. It's the way our system works that people just aren't going to like. So that's just, just to go back to it, I think Sarah Bond is on the defensive right now. I think she's tired. She's in the war room. There's no way to explain something that people are going to like. So, and she's just absolute sweetheart. I've met her once at the last Fan Fest, just complete sweetheart. Everybody at Xbox is super nice, awesome, humble. But yeah, it's just she's on the defensive right now, and I think she needs to come off of that and go on the offensive.
Great. My goodness, what a phenomenal way to get to Logan Meyer. Logan, again, Fuzzy and Kevin have completely knocked it out of the park. I do want to just catch up on a couple of super chats. I want to welcome in 827 live viewers. That's, of course, across YouTube and Twitter, because Twitter is a thing. And if you're watching from Twitter, well, let me just ask a little bit of a favor. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. We're on the hunt for 15K, and every sub actually counts. Now, what I'm going to do is, yesterday, I had made mention that I'm giving away 5 Hellblade 2 coins. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move that to Monday because then it gives me the week to get them out to you, and it's a week before they wanted the coins to go out. So I'll do the contest for the 5 coins, and it's actually 5 pairs of coins. You're going to be getting the Hellblade 2 coin. It's exclusive. When I tell you it's very limited, I don't know if there was even 100 of these things made. There are a lot of creators that are giving them out. I have been on the ground level or boots on the ground with Ben Kenobi when he first started this. So obviously it keeps me in the loop of giving these coins away. So again, we're going to give those coins away, the Hellblade coins, Monday morning or Monday afternoon rather, on the Xbox lunch break special. So tune in for that. I'm going to be giving a hashtag for you to put into the chat the day of the show. And if you win, you're getting 2 coins. You're getting the Hellblade 2 coin, and you're getting the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coin, which looks dope. So all you got to do, it's very simple. You got to be subscribed, number 1, and you got to be in the chat, and you got to put that hashtag. If you get the hashtag, even if you're outside of the country, Mrs. Boom and I are going to try our best to get you those coins as long as the shipping isn't egregious. I can't justify spending $60 to ship someone 2 coins. It's just we're limited. We only have so much money. And again, obviously, we try to do as many giveaways as we can, which is why we went to all digital. So if you win and you're outside of the country, we can simply give you the money like via PayPal, which is why we've opened the contest up to everybody in the entire world, because PayPal gives us an option to send you not so much the gift card, but the amount. And we pay all the shipping, we pay all of it, and we ask you guys and gals for nothing. Obviously, we want to get everyone who's a winner their stuff. But today, I do have 2 prizes. So I'm gonna, once we get Logan to get his opinion on this, I'll make up the hashtag. We have 2 games that we're giving away. Tales of Kanzara. That comes the way of EJ Jackson. Now, he dropped this code for me, and not so much for me, for you guys as a donation last Friday. And we're giving it away on this Friday, on this Breakfast with Boom. It is a worldwide code for Tales. Tales of Kanzara. If you haven't played it, it's absolutely freaking amazing. And we have a worldwide code for Fallout 76 that comes the way of Sith Lord, who's in the chat. So we're going to give those two codes away. I'm going to do the hashtag. All you got to do is put the hashtag in. If the picker picks you, you won. And we'll do that before the end of the show. But Logan, let's get your hot take. So the Sarah Bond interview, you've already heard from myself. And again, I could be 1,000% wrong, but I don't think I am. I know how to read people very well. It's something that I was very good at doing when I was in uniform and out of uniform, for that matter. I loved the takes from Fuzzy and Korkenstein, but I'm interested to get yours. What did you think about the interview? And more specifically, for you, not for the chat, for you as a gamer, did she answer the question of Call of Duty being in Game Pass or not?
Well, no pressure. All right. First on the Call of Duty part, I've been following not only, gaming, but business and sports and media, politics, all this stuff for a long time. And unless somebody concretely says something like point blank verbatim, I am always a little hesitant to 100% say it's set in stone. Like, even some of the stuff that they have said recently or within the last couple of years, lo and behold, like a year or 2 later, it changes. Or it's like, we bought this with this in mind. And then it's like, hold up a second. You said this and now it's here. Or you said you weren't going to do this and then now you are. Or, okay, so what does exclusive actually mean? Or the Xbox ecosystem actually mean? Or, what exactly are we doing here? And kind of like in the horror movie, unless you see the body of the villain, they're not dead. It it feels like that for the Call of Duty thing. Like, I know everybody assumes, but you know what they say about assuming, that when she says Activision, across Activision, like, people are like, well, Call of Duty's made by Activision. Like, yes, that is true, but it feels like Call of Duty was such a big deal when you had Jim flying across the globe on his little jet trying to, cancel a deal all over. They can't possibly survive without it. And they make everything all about Call of Duty, that she wouldn't specifically mention it. To me, it's like, I think it will be included in Game Pass, but I'm definitely not going to be surprised if it's not, especially with the reports from Tom Warren and stuff about that they're having debates. Like, I have no doubt that they're having debates about this, about exclusivity on other things. There's kind of it feels to me that there's a kind of a cultural civil war or battle for the heart and soul of like Xbox and what it means as Xbox within the company. You have people in two camps. You have people like, this is how we've done things, and this is, you know, what it means to be Xbox. And then the other is like, here's the bottom line, here's the dollars, here's the numbers, here's, the more cold corporate, backroom accountant and suit type view on things. And it feels like every time you guys remember the absolute like cluster cluck that was earlier this year when there was the rumors about the multi-platform strategy to begin with, and how online lost its mind, and there was all this stuff. It almost feels like all these reports get leaked out or whatever because there's probably some people who don't want this to happen versus some people who do. Not, again, that's speculation on my part, but it kind of, you follow these things for long enough, it feels that way vibes wise. As for her interview, yeah, that was really awkward, and I felt bad for it. It felt like they threw her out in front of a media firing squad, kind of like I know she's the president of Xbox, but it has to royally suck to have to answer and justify the decisions of somebody else at your company that wasn't your role. Like, you remember back in the day, Phil, he had one big job. He was Xbox, president, basically. And then eventually he got promoted into the board with Satya and others, or his little inner council. And then they kind of divided Phil's old role into two parts now. Half of it went to Sarah, and she's like, I'm part of hardware and software partnerships and stuff like that. And then Matt, who's in charge of the studios, their little Roman empire of studios they have. And so to me, it just, like, I get that it was a previously scheduled thing and she had to show up and stuff. It's just the timing was really, really bad. And you could tell she was super uncomfortable. And I don't blame her. I would not want to be in that spotlight. And to me, like Kevin had mentioned earlier about, they should just, kind of not dive into what everybody's saying and, just kind of just ignore it and just go about their business and stuff like that. Like, this is just typical Xbox as of earlier this year. They go, whenever bad news happens, they go into their little bad news bunkers and they disappear for a while. And you just don't hear from them until there's a showcase or a reveal of something happening. And then they come out and, it's like, hey guys, we got this new thing to show to you, here's a shiny new car or, whatever, kind of just distract you and get you focused on something positive. It seems to be their playbook at this point. And I wouldn't expect to hear from them until, frankly, the showcase or maybe a brief little thing around Hellblade 2's launch, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, it honestly, like, the biggest thing for me from her interview was that it was awkward. She clearly really didn't want to be there, but she had an obligation, so she did it. She did the best she could. And the mobile store, I think, was a huge, big part of the announcement because, that's coming in July.
Yep.
And it's fascinating. Great interview, by the way. At the end, she announced that they're going to basically do a web-based store to kind of circumvent some of the entanglements that Apple and Android have with some of their store policies for apps. So it's going to be like a web browser kind of thing. And then it's going to start off as first-party titles with Minecraft and Candy Crush first. And then partner publishers will join down the line. To me, that was the biggest deal in news from it because that was brand new and hadn't been revealed before via either Bloomberg or Verge or, whoever you follow as an investigative gaming reporter. So to me, that was honestly the biggest takeaway.
Great points all around. I mean, I would imagine that, and we're going to get into the story momentarily about Hellblade, what Greeny had to say about the advertising. I know there's been a lot of criticism for the few static images, and I know that Logan had talked about that. When does the full-throated pause, marketing start? It has already started. I haven't seen it on my TV. I know some people were in the chat the other day, said they saw it on movie screens when they went to the cinema, and they saw it there. I know that there was a big spread in a magazine, I believe it was from Spain, if I'm not mistaken, that had her on the cover. But we're going to get into what he had to say. Hellblade 2 is going to make some big numbers. I think people are going to buy it. It's $50. It's $49.99 rather than $69.99. It is, based on the previews that we saw last month. Everyone that has seen it, has played it, has been just completely blown away. It has been called the true next generation game of this current generation, which turns 4 years old in November. It is running on Unreal Engine 5. We have heard that Ninja Theory has benchmarked Unreal Engine 5 with this game. Again, I mean, your eyes saw what I saw. It's just ridiculous how real it looks. And we're going to get into that momentarily. I just want to catch up on some of the super chats here. We have a couple of them and a couple of channel member messages that we want to read. First of all, the first one of the day comes away from Sith Lord, who drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Boom, please buy Mrs. Boom flowers. She deserves them, as she does. They may not be she might not be a mom, but she is the mother of this channel. She is as important to DBG as you are." Yeah, she let me tell you something. You don't understand what that woman does. So real quick, I'll throw it out there. I'm going to be in LA for a lot of the showcases. I'm going to be boots on the ground. I'm going to be filming. I'm going to be doing some interviews. I got a lot of stuff planned. But the thing that we haven't announced, and we'll announce it now thanks to Sis Lord, is Mrs. Boom has made 15 prize packs that we're going to give to random people. So if you're someone that enjoys the content, and you want to reach out to me, you want to meet, hang out, have a Dr. Pepper, we're giving away, you don't even got to be sub. You'll see me in the street. I'm going to be carrying I think it's 5 at a time because 15 is a lot. It's going to contain a hat with the logo on it, a bunch of other like really cool prizes that she put this all together. So again, if you see me, and I have these. By all means, come up to me and we have 15 of them to give away. And that's all Mrs. Boom. She handles all of that stuff. She's just absolutely amazing. But thank you so much for the kind words. Lorin, we have a new channel member. Welcome to the program. That is very kind of you and very generous. Thank you so much for joining the channel. Bunty, I should say, who's been a channel member for 35 months. Thank you so much for the crazy support, dude. He says, all I have to say is no game is safe because the industry is not growing, but spending more. Keep up the good work, Boom, and have a great weekend, everyone. Brother, that's very kind of you to say, and you're right. Again, we talked about this in the green room. Everyone is down, especially in the console. I think that Microsoft really, took it on the head at that 31% down. Sony is down bad too, and Sony's in a bigger pickle. If you've seen their numbers yesterday, their numbers are tanking, man. And let's call a spade here. Yes, they want to buy Paramount, and yes, they have this plan to spend all of this cash. But they have a partner. They're not doing it themselves, and they are not doing great either, especially in the console sales, which we know a couple of months ago they lost $10 billion worth of stock because they didn't meet their numbers. We got all kinds of reports that they are significantly behind the PS5, the PS4 sales versus PS5 at this time in the console's lifespan. And we have some more information about sales on games, which we'll talk about next week, and that doesn't look good. So Sony is down. Even Nintendo Switch is down, and Nintendo Switch is the darling of the industry, so everyone is hurting. We have Chris R., who drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I hope they make more episodes of the Xbox documentary. Yes, me too. The current state of things would be the next negative episode because of ego from the CEO. I mean, ego, it might be, maybe. I just think, look, I spoke for 2 days and over 4 hours and even cursed, which I don't like to do. And I dropped a couple of F-bombs on the first podcast. I don't like doing that, folks. I like being the gentleman gamer, but I sometimes get emotional, and that was the time to get emotional. I don't like it. I don't even understand it, because I know people are like, oh, Boom, it's big business. Oh, no, I understand that. I just don't understand. Like, I'll never understand Tango. I don't care how you try and slice and dice it for me. I'm pissed. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. I think they could have been saved. If you want to give the other three for whatever your reasons, that may be fine. Tango is a mistake, and it will always be a mistake. That's a freaking fact. But again, I come out here and I put my heart on, right out there for everyone to get stomped on. It's just, I'm going to tell it like it is. That's who I am. Tempest Sun. Now, this is a good dude right here. Not only has he been a channel member for freaking 55 months, that's as long as the channel's been around, ladies and gentlemen, which is just ridiculous. But he was one of the founders of Primetime Gaming. We miss his hot takes. He's a good friend of the show, good personal friend of mine. He says the silly truth is, if the next showcase slaps hardly anyone will remember this time. I wish the best for those let go, but this is the world that we live in. Indeed. And again, I think you're right. I don't want to say we, because I don't want to throw anybody under an umbrella. Gamers, broad stroke, have a very short memory. I do not. I am going to wear this and be disgusted every time I look to play Hi-Fi Rush. My God, we're not getting a sequel. My God, who raise your hand, folks? Who played Ghostwire Tokyo? Because I beat the shit out of that game, and I have, I think, 50 hours in it, maybe about 50 hours. And they had said they were working on a sequel. Well, that's gone. Tokyo Ghostwire is freaking phenomenal. Go play that game. And Evil Within 3, I didn't really like the first one. I don't know why. I absolutely adored the second one because it was more like Resident Evil. It had more guns. It was more action. Loved it. Beat it twice, as a matter of fact. we're not getting an Evil Within 3. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. But I've been oh, here he goes again. I'm gonna say it, brother, because I don't want to look your $2 super chat in the mouth. And I know why you do. Good morning, brother. He says, I've been whacking off, says this after dropping a 2-pound super chat. Boom. Good morning, brother. Hope you're well. Yeah, bro. Thanks so much for the kind words. And of course, the generosity. We love you, brother. Thank you so much. And Lord Roughness, generous friend of the program, drops a very generous 5-pound super chat and says, wonderful thing, hindsight. Xbox should have pulled out of the ABK deal when they couldn't get the Call of Duty exclusive and just outbid the rights instead. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you this right now. I do not shy away from being one of those voices in this community that shouted to the rooftops, oh, yeah, we go, ABK. I admit it. I was wrong. I was galvanized by the size of the deal. I think a lot of us were. And I was also in the belief that the people at Activision and Blizzard and King, who were under the rule of tyranny in Bobby K, were going to be welcomed in to Xbox, where you have incredible leaders like Sarah Bond, like Phil Spencer, like Matt Booty, like Aaron Greenberg, and so many more, where it was going to be a big family affair, and based on what some of the things that Phil said about we're going to let the studios make the games that they want to make, and we have Game Pass as this Captain America shield that's going to they're still making money hand over fist. And it's just unfortunate that we saw 4 studios shuttered. It's disgusting. What it is. But let's get into Hellblade 2, folks. This is a game that I think is going to be, at the end of the year, one of those games that not only is going to be winning awards. I think word of mouth. I think it's going to be a game that you invite someone over to your home and say, take a look at this. And they're going to be like, what movie is that? And be like, that's a game. And they're going to be like, holy shit, are you kidding me? I really do think that based on what we've seen, that is the response you're going to get. It is visceral. It is it's using mental illness as its crux of its story, and they're not using it in a disrespectful way. They are bringing more awareness to psychosis, which is an actual thing. I love how serious they've taken it. I think that we're going to get even more brutal combat. I think we're going to get some serious questionable decisions we're going to have to make that are going to be very emotionally based. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this game. We know that it's going to roughly be around 8 to 10 hours, which I think is fine these days. I don't, as much as I enjoy a 100-hour game, lately, at least for me, I went into Dragon's Dogma. I got almost 100 hours into it. I jumped right back into Fallout 4. I got another 40 hours there, and I kind of got a little burnt out, which is why I went back to Vampire Survivors. And it just so happens that they got new DLC, and that's all I want to play. I'm very much looking forward to getting into this game. If it takes me 8, 10, 12, maybe 14 hours to beat, that's going to be perfect. I'm probably going to roll through the game again. Because I like trying to get all the achievements because I'm an achievement whore. It's fine. But I do want to get into the conversation that is currently the hot topic of the day, and that is the advertising for this game. Now, Fuzzy, I have Aaron Greenberg's tweet. Now, let me just, for context, he tweeted this on May 3rd, 2024. It has 701,000 views. People are looking forward to this game. So today is, and again, I'm no mathematician, it's the 10th. So a week has gone by, right? I know there's been some tweets out from Xbox about some static, pictures of Senua. That's certainly not enough. But I'm going to read to you what Aaron Greenberg said verbatim, and then obviously we're going to have a conversation. We are officially 11 days away from the game releasing. I don't specifically know. I'm not an advertisement guy. I don't know marketing. I don't have a degree. I'm a knucklehead podcaster. Me personally, I wouldn't start advertising too far out because people forget. But we're getting close where you kind of want to maybe have 10 days in front of you and do marketing blitz 101 because you want everyone to know this game is coming. Put out a review, put out a trailer, put out another never before seen trailer on YouTube, on X, on Twitch. Put it here, there, and everywhere. Throw it out on Instagram. Throw it out on whatever your favorite service is. Get it out there. Put it on Times Square. Get it rolling there so people walk by and look, what is this? They need to do that. So, Fuzzy, again, I'm going to read verbatim exactly what Greeny had to say. And he says, had a great review with the team leading our big global and regional marketing plans to support Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. It all starts next week, which, of course, here we are. We're here next week. I haven't seen much of it, but again, we will cover it. He goes, it all starts next week as we optimize leading up to launch and beyond. So many fun, creative plans. Here are just a few. And he has the check marks: global paid media campaign on TV. Cinema launch program, meaning that when you go to see your next film, it's going to be there in one of the trailers. Out of home advertising. Now, I've never actually heard that. I'm assuming that means places like a Times Square, like that. I suppose that, you're going to see it here, there, and everywhere. Brand partnership. Special activation from Iceland, which I'm not sure what that means, but maybe that's when the game launches, plus so much more. And he finishes, Fuzzy, excited to share more and celebrate this immersive and visually stunning masterpiece from the team at Ninja Theory. In the meantime, you can wishlist it, pre-order, pre-install on Xbox Game Pass, also on PC and Steam to get ready for the big launch on May 21st, 2024. Let's get your hot take on this. So, because again, it's like the boo birds are out, and obviously the one thing I will say about the community that has a distaste for Xbox is once they get a hold, they just don't want to let go, and then everything that they do is just a shit show. Now, we are 11 days away from launch. I think they have more than enough time to put out exactly what has been depicted here by Aaron Greenberg. Let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, this one I kind of have like mixed feelings on, and I put it probably one of my more spicy posts on Twitter with.
I saw it. I loved it. I'm being honest.
They finally did the post with the date, and we all can admit that seems like you're just sending it in kind of thing. It felt underwhelming, but it's still, some of the marketing, and based on what Aaron Greenberg was saying, that isn't everything that's on that list. That has nothing to do with any of the stuff that he had on the list. So people jumped on that and had all kinds of criticisms, which I get it. Like, you're excited for the game. You want them, especially after hearing about the Tango closing, you want them to really push this game so there's not a closing of Ninja Theory kind of thing. But some of those same individuals are the same ones that would put clips and their own video stuff out there, almost doing the advertising. And I it's not that I had enough, but I'm like, do you want them to advertise or not? Like, this isn't what Aaron Greenberg talked about. So if you don't want them to advertise, even if it feels like it's the least of what they can do, I get it. But like, if you're going to complain about it, but yet you were the same ones, certain individuals were the same ones that would make like 4-minute videos, hyping up the game, just start posting some of those. Like, if you can do better, go ahead and do better. Like, it's one or the other. It's like they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. If they advertise, people are going to complain, well, that's not enough. If they don't advertise, well, where's the advertising? I hope we can be a little bit more patient. Now, I know there's a lot of people looking over at Team Blue. Like, yes, if you look at Twitter, Team Blue for a third party exclusive or second party exclusive with Stellar Blade, they tweet several times a day, 4 days in a row before the game launches and stuff. I get it. Like, Xbox should probably do that, or at least do some of that. But they also try to give some space for the indies that they had deals with that they put into Game Pass or that are now available on the service. So yes, they should highlight their own stuff, but they need to also highlight the people that they've partnered with and made agreements to get them in the service and stuff like that. So there's a give and take. And based on what Aaron Greenberg said before, like the week prior, since those things don't really seem like it was the social media scope, I don't know why everybody wanted to jump down their throat. I get it. Like even Opera, the other browser that only a handful of people use, was like, oh, I didn't know Xbox cut their marketing team, or closed their marketing team. But it's we've all had criticisms of their marketing, but Xbox doesn't seem to do the same things that other platforms do when it comes to marketing. And while that may not sound like the answer we want to hear, it's been the truth for over the past decade, if not longer, where except for like Halo, which they tried to market that and then it didn't get released in the time frame that they wanted, so they had to scale everything back or delay everything, even though some of those partners had the chips and drinks and stuff out there that you could see and get the points for that you really couldn't use because the game wasn't out. I don't know if they're gun shy and doing stuff extra early like they did with that, or if it's just a matter of they don't have their finger on the pulse quite like some of the other brands that people are familiar with, whether it be your Apples or your Sony and PlayStation or your Google or Meta or any of them. It is what it is. But I would say if you don't like their marketing or advertising, the best thing that you can do as a fan of the game, a fan of the studio, a fan of the brand, is once you have that game in hand, post your clips, post your screenshots, talk it up in forums. I mean, yes, we're not getting paid for any of this, but like you can criticize them, and we've been doing that for umpteen years, and we've only seen minimal changes on the marketing aspect. We've seen huge changes on how they do showcases, so that they've learned. But the marketing aspect doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon, no matter how loud or how often we complain. So it's either we do the marketing for them or we just chalk it up as it is what it is kind of thing. But I'm excited for the game nonetheless, whether they market it or not. That's not for me to worry about. I'm just here to be subscribed to Game Pass, possibly buy this thing later on when it comes on or it goes for a little bit deeper discount than the initial 10% or 15% or whatever, and then have the game where I own it type of deal. But I'll be posting screenshots and then some gameplay and stuff like that. But the marketing, yes, it's underwhelming, but they've done this with I would say probably the best job they've done with marketing so far has been Starfield, and that it wasn't to everybody's liking completely. Me being a big fan of Forza, I would say the marketing was way underwhelming, but once again, it's been like that for umpteen years, so it's nothing new for Xbox.
It's unfortunate. Again, you're right. The marketing for Starfield was on another level. It was one of their biggest games. I mean, I understand it's made by a smaller team. What was it? 40 people worked on this game. I think, this is just me, it is one of the most important games coming out this year. I stand by that. I think it's one of the most important games for next generation as a whole. But I'd even go as far as to say, Fuzzy, I think it's the most important game for Xbox, period. Because remember, it's their first big one in 2024. We were made to believe that they have so many games that it's going to be one per quarter. Well, there has not been one per quarter. This is their first big AAA bomb. It should be brought out to the masses as best as it could. And again, remember, they're still 11 days away. They could prove me wrong, and just we start seeing it here, then everywhere. When I turn on my TV and you see the advertisement for it, that's how you're going to know then it's in full swing. I have not seen that as of yet. I get advertised. I got a ton of advertisement on my TV. The minute I turned it on, bloop, Starfield. Look at that. That's just crazy. I'm hoping that happens. Let me, Kevin, before I bring you in, brother, let me just catch up on Super Chats because we have a big bomb here. Let's see. Wonderful thing. Okay, so Gamers Play HUD Zero. Kind sir, welcome to the program and thank you for the ridiculous generosity. He has been a channel member for 30 months. He goes on to say, hey, Boom, remember when we wanted a Sunset Overdrive sequel? Indeed, we sure do. I still want one, even if it's on PlayStation only. I don't care. Hi-Fi Rush was 10 times more successful, and yet still. Money won over fans, or money over fans. We didn't learn from Atari? Yeah, question mark. I mean, you're 1,000% right. How did we get here is the question. How do we live in a world where a game gets shadow dropped, barely advertised, gets over 3 million players, wins awards out the ass, and that studio no longer exists? What kind of world are we living in? I am, listen, I said it, I'm bamboozled, I'm perplexed, I'm dumbfounded. I just it's one of those things I will never be able to digest, that studio doesn't agree. I don't care about, direction. John Johannes is a leader. He is a visionary. Maybe he's not as visionary for you as Mikami was, because let's face it, that dude's legendary. He created one of my favorite franchises in the history of my gaming in 40 plus years in Resident Evil. That's hard to follow. But if they don't retain that dude, I'm telling you right now, PlayStation will give him a studio and he'll be making PlayStation games. They probably have already called him. I hope that he is retained some way, somehow, but I don't think so. I think his studio is closed and that poor guy is going to go off and that's going to be it. And that's just, it's just gross, man. It just really is. Giggity 08. What's up, brother? Welcome back to the program. He has been a channel member, folks, for 4 months. He goes on to say, imagine what the media is going to be like when Xbox announces their next acquisition. That's a phenomenal, it's a great theory, bro. I haven't even thought about that. And I don't see that happening. Like the thoughts and the theories that I had about them getting IO and potentially a Sobo and maybe bringing in Crystal D and Eidos Montreal, I think all those plans have been sent to Hades, to be honest with you. And you know what? People would be right to give them the criticism if they do announce another big acquisition, because who's going to lose their job next, right? That's what's going to be the running thing, unfortunately. Hey, Blinken drops. Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks so much, of course, for being here, and of course, thank you for the continued support. He drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he goes on to say, Mr. Boom, you are a great role model. Dude, that's very kind of you. To the community, keep up the authenticity. Fuzzy agrees. That's very kind of you to say. But listen, this is what you see is what you get. There's no hidden agendas. This is how I was as a cop. They called me officer friendly. You don't walk a beat in New York City in the Bronx and get called officer friendly because you're a dick. I grew up in, for me, a little pinch of information. I went back, and this is a story you'll never hear because bad news sells more papers than good news. The precinct that I spent 21 years in, I grew up as a kid in the projects there. I went back to the high school that I graduated in 89 as the youth officer. Being in that community, helping those people is why I swore in 94. And how I was there is exactly how I am here on the show. What you see is what you get. There is no hidden agendas. It's no doing this for money. I love this community. Absolutely adore. And that's why I work 5 days a week and technically sometimes 7 to bring you good content. So thank you so much for the very kind words and the very generous super chat. And talking about generosity, Dragon Wolf, holy cow, this is crazy. He has gifted, ladies and gentlemen, 20 double barrel gaming memberships. Bro, that's just crazy. So thank you so much, Dragon Wolf, for that outstanding generosity. And folks, please, if you did get one of those subscriptions, thank this man. That is phenomenal. He also has a member chat here. He goes on to say, after being a channel member himself for 4 months, back in work, Boom, got laid off after 21 years at the man, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that. Years, then found out I had a the big C. Bro, I cannot believe that. That is awful. Spent 18 months getting treatment. Now now he's all in the clear. Upwards and onward and upward. Bro, first of all, I'm so glad that you're still here. Obviously, thank goodness that you found what you had and that you were able to beat it after 18 months of treatment. Brother, my heart goes out to you, and that's generosity, but you don't have to do that. You're here. That's all we need. So thank you so much for being here. And of course, thank you for the generosity. And I always get this name wrong. Fuzzy, can you help me out over here? It's HJU. It's Julia. Is that how it is? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I believe it's Julia. I think the H is silent. Julia.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for being a channel member. Holy crap. For 32 months. That's very generous of you. We super appreciate it. He goes, have a good weekend. Well, have a great weekend for you. Hopefully you're enjoying gaming. No matter where you enjoy gaming, just, game on, as they say. Kevin, let's talk about this. The marketing. We have a roadmap from Greeny. He is the head of marketing. He gets a lot of criticism because, like Fuzzy knocked it out of the park. They just don't seem to learn, man. I think what we want is Xbox marketing to become Sony. Now, in a vacuum, it sounds great. One of the things, and again, I know, don't throw the virtual tomatoes at me, folks, but the truth is that no one markets like PlayStation. Like, they're the market leader for a freaking reason, and their marketing is just ridiculous. The Stellar Blade marketing, and Fuzzy was right on this, is 4 times a week, and it's nonstop. And it's a third-party game. Now, granted, it's an exclusive, and it's their best exclusive so far this year outside of Helldivers. Whether you agree, you don't, it's important to them. You'd love to see that happen with Microsoft. But again, I really think it is going to start showing up as of today. We heard some things yesterday. It was in some movie theaters. We know, again, it was on a front page of a Spanish magazine, which is a big deal. Kevin, let's talk about it. The roadmap. Do you believe it? Don't you believe it? What do you think? When are we getting the full-throated marketing for Hellblade 2?
I think the train left the station today. I don't know if you guys have already saw. There was the Psychosis video. That
I saw that you dropped into yes, that was on YouTube. Yes, excellent. Yep. Yes,
brand new, fresh, just came out today. Amazing video too. I mean, we all know kind of what Psychosis is, but they really deep dive into the neuroscience behind it. It's a great video to watch. It really empowers Senua as a hero, and as a video game character and stuff like that. So absolutely amazing video. Please go watch it. But this is something that Xbox has been doing, as far as I can remember, since at least Gears in 2019. It's always been about a 3-week to 2-week previous, before game launches. And I know people want marketing like Sony, but also look at Sony's costs. We talked a little bit about it earlier on. They balloon their costs with low margins. I mean, they're doing a giant hammer or axe in London. They're, doing these Spider-Man webbed little setups, pop-ups here all around the world. That's a ton of money that's going into something that sure looks nice, but what is the return on that? And that's the thing I think that we really got to start understanding is I think Xbox is letting developers market the games they want. I know people, people are like, oh, well, like we said, Xbox, Phil Spencer said, we're letting developers do the creativity that they want. Well, that also comes with marketing. do you really want somebody to have this cookie cutter commercial that everybody will get to see, that everybody, sure, it's hitting spots, but does it really have soul behind what the developer wants to portray with their marketing? Like, look at the Hellblade stuff. They're so in depth with the Psychosis. They're so, with who Sonoa is and the mental disability, things that she has, that they're able to do these videos like that this morning that really give the game life, that really show what Hellblade is. You're not going to get that with somebody that you hired from a PR firm to market out to everybody else. That's just something I think that you can't have it both ways. Do you want Xbox to give developers creativity to market their games and develop them how they want? Or do you want them to be like Sony with these high, crazy margins? They're spending all this money shutting down studios because they're spending all this money on marketing and not doing the games. It's this balance. But I really do think the train's left the station. Hellblade 2 is awesome. I cannot wait for that to release. But yeah, that's just kind of how I look at it. It's always been about 2 weeks before with Gears. So I think Starfield was different because it was Bethesda publishing. And sure, I think maybe Xbox is doing some of the marketing here for Hellblade, but I really think it's Ninja Theory leading that charge. So you got to ask yourself, do you want developers to market the game, or do you want suits to market the game that are going to balloon their costs, not see the return that they might not get? Now you're looking at a studio closure. So how, pick a side, pick a lane. I personally love that developers get to market the games they want. They get to have soul with them. So I'm more for the way that Xbox is doing it. Sure, it's not the way that I think there's a lot of work to be done there with marketing, especially their global reach. But I think they're learning and they're adapting and they're trying to really bring to life and really get to that marketing that is hitting people in the right ways. Just not, here's a blanket, we're going to cover you all with it. If you don't like it, too bad. I really want to think they want people to play the games that they want to play, that they see, and that they actually invest and want to put time into. And you only get that because of the developer putting the heart and soul behind these marketing campaigns to do that.
That's a great point. The Psychosis video that he's referring to, if you're interested, I can drop the link in the chat. It's 23 minutes. It's a bit of a watch. I've watched the first half of it. It's incredibly powerful. Obviously, I got to be here on time for the show. So once the show is done, I will watch it because I want to see it on the big screen. I could watch it while people are talking, but I really want to pay attention to it so I can give my honest opinion about what I saw. If there's one thing that we know about Ninja Theory, the illness known as psychosis, they take incredibly serious. They have had consultations from not only people that have psychosis, but they have also sat down with physicians in the medical field to understand this disease further. They take it incredibly serious. And you have to love that about the studio, that this is not just a game. It is a statement. That not only are we playing Senua, not only are we on this journey with her, not only does it look absolutely astoundingly real, but we all are also on a journey with her through her mental psyche. It's pretty powerful and pretty incredible what Ninja Theory has done. I want to see this game go to everyone. Now, is everyone going to like this game? Probably not. It is very, very serious. I mean, again, people wanted this game to be the next God of War. I think you're going to get combat. I think you're going to get open world or semi-open world areas where you're going to be looking for different things and you're going to be traveling on this journey. But there's a lot of seriousness that comes with this conversation, and I love it. I love that it's not just another God of War. Even though God of War is amazing, this is not that. And I'm glad. I'm glad that they are just telling the story of Senua. I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy. I would imagine so, but we will see. Logan Meyer, let's bring you in, kind sir. But before we actually do that, we got to do two things. One, announce the two winners for the games, and of course the two super chats that popped in here from Traybone408_. he drops not one but $2 super chats. In the first one, he says, "What happened to letting them do business and we play games?" I mean, you're not wrong, but again, it's just because we're in it. We want to see this game succeed, and we want to see them push the marketing to another level that's not really known for Xbox. I think if you're an Xbox user, you know about this game. We've known about it for years, since 2019, since it was unveiled at the Game Awards. We all knew about it. I am hoping the casual audience will see this game and be like, and again, I think where you're going to see this game really succeed is not so much, not saying that it's not going to succeed on Xbox. I think you're really going to see it like do some massive numbers on PC. That's the whole day and date thing, where it's on PC and on Xbox at the same time. It's something Sony is learning that they have to do. I don't know if they'll ever get there. You're going to see some big numbers on Steam. His second very generous $2 super chat, he goes on to say this: Sony is a movie company. They're used to the marketing stuff. Yeah, I mean, you're right. They certainly are. That's who they are in their core. So that's why their games look the way they are, right? They're very movie-esque, right? And that's because, well, Sony Pictures, they make films, and they have a whole studio that takes these games after they're done and makes them as pretty and beautiful as they are. That's just Sony for you. So the two winners, okay, so the first winner for the Zhao Tales of Kanzara is Sin. What's up, brother? You won a copy, a global copy, thanks to EJ Jackson in the chat. So thank you so much for the donation, EJ. We super appreciate that. And of course, Sin, you let me know, reach out to me via email, via DM, via Xbox Live, and I'll send you the code right over. And the second winner of the Fallout 76 worldwide code, thanks to Sith Lord in the chat, is Prince Green. Was picked by the picker. Again, I don't pick them, folks. I just well, if you do the hashtag, you're entered. So Prince Green, reach out to me, brother. Again, DM, email, or Xbox Live. I'll send you over the code. Congratulations to the two winners, and thank you so much again to for Sith Lord and EJ Jackson for giving us these donations. Very kind of you. Logan Meyer, let's talk about it. Greeny has already put out there that this is the path that they're taking for, and it's pretty stout in my opinion. It is very detailed. So obviously, thanks to Kevin, we do know that the marketing has officially started. They dropped a 23-minute video that I think everyone should check out regarding the psychosis of what is going on with Senua. I've watched half of it. I'm going to watch the second half. I'm probably going to just sit down and just start it all over again to watch it through its inception. Where do you kind of sit with the marketing on Hellblade so far, and what are you expecting?
Well, I really appreciated that he went out and went, show me the data, and he's like, all right, here you go. And he basically brought out the chart and was like, all right, this is all we're going to be doing. And he broke it down into finer details and points. Like, we're going to start here. We're going to go to this region. We're going to have a campaign here. We're going to start Twitter stuff here. We're going to have, viral campaigns there and stuff like that. Like, that to me, was to address specifically a lot of criticism they've received, and rightfully so, for how they've marketed some stuff in the past. And the actual stuff that's come out so far, I've been impressed with. The Psychosis video looks awesome. I'm going to dive in after the show. Hellblade, to me personally, from an excitement standpoint, is my most anticipated game, since it was announced back at Game Awards with the reveal of the Series X. I love Ninja Theory. I've always said that they punch above their weight. They are they're a smaller studio, but man, they land a knockout punch when they put something out there. And a bunch of their games that they made were when they were even smaller, and they may have had some graphical or some technical, hiccups here and there, but Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, Heavenly Sword, the original Hellblade, they did a DMC game. And then like even before they were Ninja Theories, they did that Kung Fu Chaos thing. Like they've done a lot
Yeah,
of
man.
really interesting stuff. And to me, they're like the A24 or like the kind of like the art house studio for Xbox.
Yep.
Like, you know, people always love Kojima or because he does his own thing and you may not understand what on earth is happening or what is going on. But you're like, you know what? Like, I dig this. Crabs on a beach. I'm delivering packages. There's so much symbolism, or this. You know, we got mech suits and time travel, or you know, this geopolitical Earth Crusade thing, or whatever. It's like, all right, I can vibe with that. It's different. It's like this is a Kojima experience, whether you are traditionally a fan or not. You know you're in for something different and unique and truly special. And to me, like Ninja Theory, like I know there's a lot of concern, and I understand the concern about the security of some places, but to me, I think Ninja Theory is more insulated, in my opinion, than some of the others.
I agree.
One, they were one of the first studios they bought when they started their buying spree back in, I think, 2018. It's been
2018, yeah, they announced it in E3 2018, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
yeah, and so they've been working on this for a long time. And, you know, there's that face palming quote we got from the Matt Booty thing from about we need smaller titles that bring us prestige and awards and stuff like that. Like, who fits the bill of that? You know, Senua Saga is to me what is going to be that. Like I said, this feels like an art house studio game. Like they've gone all in on mocap. They have, you know, people going to Iceland and like videographing and scanning these environments in high detail. They have like hardcore combat, like training stuff, like all suited up. Like they work with the University of Cambridge and other experts in the psychological field and people who have suffered from this illness and similar illnesses. Like they've worked with historians for accuracy on things. Like to me, this is an all out like go broke, go big or go broke type experience boiled down into a smaller narrative. You know, that hours thing doesn't bother me at all because
Not me either.
like,
Mm-mm.
you know, to be blunt, like there are some movies or some games or some topic matters that frankly you would be overloaded or feel like dark and just not in a great place if you had a ton of hours of that. Like this is heavy subject matter. This is
Indeed.
not, you know, like a fun little platformer or a you know, like a goofy action film, like you know, just a fun Godzilla monster mash thing where you can play like hours upon hours upon hours or something like that. Like this is serious. Like you're experiencing her anguish and her suffering and trying to overcome these things. And like even the combat, like my goodness, that is brutal.
Yeah.
Like not trying to make it a deal about goriness or whatever, but like you know, there's a difference between like as someone who as people who've gamed a long time, you know, like there's a difference between like a hack and slash, like you're just like spamming A and you're jumping around like a spider monkey on Mountain Dew, you know, you're just like whacking all these creatures or whatever, versus like this, she's like sidestep, thrust, like stab, pierce, or like has a heavy weapon and like slams down and like crushes something or tears into something, or like she kicks, or it's like heavily one-on-one personalized. And so you add that on top of it, like to me, I would be totally cooked if I had to play a really long time of this kind of narrative or experience. So to me, the price, the hours, no big deal at all. I know what I'm getting. This is like a cinematic and hardcore visionary masterpiece type game that is going for the award circuit like, oh my word, what did I just experience? Like, this is truly something special, like, type game. And I know it's not a semi open world or big open world, 40 plus hours where you got to go fetch quests and other stuff thrown in to expand it out. Like, to me, I'd much rather a smaller, tailored experience that goes all out and they know what they want to do and they nail it S tier game than some soulless husk game that gets stretched out just so that they can have some more fetch quests or like other collectible type hunts or stuff like that just to pad the hours. Like, I know this has been long winded and I'm sorry, but I'm super excited for it. I had the original as one of the most important games of the last generation because of its impact and what it did from a cultural and philosophical and standpoint outside of just gaming. So I'm all in on this. I think the marketing will be good. I hope they go all out on it because it deserves it. But at the end, I'm not concerned and I'm day one.
Great stuff, and not long-winded. It certainly was not. It was greatly explained, and we love that about your comments. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, we have one of the wards. One of the Prince Green has rescinded his win. Maybe he has it, so I re-rolled it. Mark Sheriff in the chat. Mark, if you're still here, kind sir, DM me, reach out to me via email. You can find the business email at the about page of the YouTube channel or message me on Xbox Live, and I will send you the worldwide code for Fallout 76. That is for Xbox. So obviously, once again, Sin, I just saw your message, brother. I'll send you the code over Xbox Live, and of course, the new winner, thanks to Prince Green rescinding his win because he probably already has it, is Mark Sheriff. So Mark Sheriff, you are the winner of Fallout 76. Hey, Korkenstein, you're a new member. That's very kind of you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. That's crazy. He's on the panel.
I thought I was. My bad.
Nah, stop it, brother. We appreciate you even being here. So thank you so much for that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get everyone out of here. I'm just gonna start playing the footage again because I thought it was 2 hours. It was an hour and 45 minutes, or give or take. This is a great show. I loved everyone's comments. The chat was on fire as always. We had over 912 people watching live. That is freaking crazy because we're still a small channel. And of course, we're on the hunt for 15K. If you're finding the channel for the first time and you enjoyed the conversation, please consider subscribing. And if you're feeling super extra generous, hit the bell icon to see when I go live. And well, quite frankly, that's easy because I do live streams Monday through Friday, 5 different shows, 5 different panels, all great content. And you know what we don't do? We don't hate monger or clickbait you to get you in to sub and watch the stuff. We give you honest takes. We have fun. We laugh. It's always, the top news of the day because we do stream on Monday through Friday. And of course, let's get to the outros, and we'll start first with our guests. So, Kevin, do me a favor, brother. Sell your brand. Let everyone know where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, where they can find you on social media, and what else you got going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I saw all the kind words. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to get down to everybody, but thank you. We are just barely starting a lot of this stuff. So the best place to find me is at the Korkenstein or Korkenstein on Twitter. So at the Korkenstein on Twitter, you can go ahead and find me. That's where I'll do a lot of my announcements of shows. But also, if you look up Game Pass Gumbo and Xbox Talks, those are 2 big things. I'm going to start doing more podcasts, more introspective kind of videos, previews, things like that. But please Twitter is probably the best place to find me for now, and then Game Pass Gumbo and Xbox Talks.
Good stuff, brother. You knocked it out of the park. A
Thank you.
plus, A
Thank you
plus,
so
and
much.
obviously we want to help you grow. You're at 447 subs at your YouTube channel. We'd love to help you get to the 1K. Super important to get that because you become partnered, and obviously you do good work. And obviously, you knocked it out of the park here today. Logan Meyer, obviously, thank you so much for joining us. Incredible take on the Hellblade Senua Saga conversation. Loved every second of it. By all means, sell your brand. Tell everyone they can find you and Jamie each and every week on your YouTube channel, what you got going on there, and more importantly, where can people find you on social media?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I am, on Jamie's show, All Things Xbox, every Tuesday on YouTube. On under the Elusive Gamer is his account, I believe, in his video profile, and so we do that every Tuesday, and it's usually a 2-hour show, and we sit down, and it's kind of basically like a fireside chat, just a couple friends talking games, whatever, for the week, and discuss, all the current events, and good and bad. But we don't fearmonger. We don't jump into the hate clicks kind of thing. We try to keep an overall positive vibe and just no nonsense. A lot of fun. Really enjoy it. Have a great community. And so you can find us there. And then, I dwell in the land of Twitter. I refuse to go down with the calling it X. I'm still on the old ship. It's Twitter until I say it's otherwise. And so, just find me on Twitter or there and say hi, and I'll say hi back.
Nice. Good stuff as always. And last and no way least, Fuzzy Belvedere. Tell everyone where they can help you, kind sir, get to 1K on a YouTube channel that is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. Not only does he have his own YouTube channel, he's a part of several shows, was specifically working with Mav on the Fun Speculation Network, because obviously he has a lot of shows like me. It is a network. And where could people, Fuzzy, reach out to you on social media if they want to strike up a conversation?
As always, thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it. And it was awesome having the special guests that we had. Korkenstein and Logan, you guys nailed it. Love your different perspectives and how you view things within the gaming space, and just love your takes today. Always great to have these conversations, even if it's rough times when being a fan of a particular studio or a particular brand. It's always great to at least get down to the hobby we all enjoy. And thanks to everybody in the chat and those on the app formerly known as Twitter that are watching us live. Greatly appreciate you guys giving us a chance and taking the time to watch us. If you haven't already, come to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It's greatly appreciated. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants or anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. And like Mr. Boom said, I'm on Fun Speculations channel a lot. Later on tonight, we have Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, on Fun Speculations channel. There's not going to be a shop podcast this Saturday, Mother's Day. We're going to take a little bit of a break as far as spend time with the wives or mothers and things like that. So a little bit of an off weekend, but hope to see everybody right back here on this channel for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon Monday. Hope to see you there. Thanks again.
Yes, and of course, a big shout out to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day, obviously. And you know something? Happy Father's Day. And because a lot of fathers are moms, sometimes they're doing double duty, and they don't get the credit. So again, celebrate your moms. Celebrate the moms of your kids. Being a parent ain't easy, and they don't get the props that they should. So a big happy Mother's Day to all the moms in the community. Big thank you for everything that you do. And of course, a big thank you to all of the very generous super chats and new channel members that have come the way of today's show, as well as all the other shows we do. Again, it's Mrs. Boom and I are just unbelievably humbled by the generosity and why we continue to, push the envelope on the big giveaways. And again, folks, if you're going to be in Los Angeles, anywhere between the 6th of June through the 10th is when I'm going to be there. Reach out to me. Let me know you're going to be there. We have 15 prize packs that we're giving away. And just walk up to me and say, hey, listen, Mr. Boomstick, and boom, there you go, prize pack, there you go. And that's all thanks to Mrs. Boom, who has gone out of her way to make these things really freaking cool. Again, we're not going to tell you everything that's in there, but, by all means, reach out to us and say hi, and we'll give you a prize pack, one per person, obviously, and all courtesy of Mrs. Boomstick and her thinking outside the box, which is pretty cool. And, of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.